Charlie McAvoy and the Boston Bruins broke NHL single-season records in wins and points. The Bruins broke long-standing NHL records for wins and points during an impressive regular season campaign. But history shows that the Stanley Cup is hardly a given here. On April 11, the Bruins recorded their 64th win of the season and increased their regular season point total to 133, the most since the Montreal Canadiens had 132 in 1976-77. Aside from that impressive feat, regular season success doesn't necessarily carry over to the playoffs. Backed by Vezina Trophy winner Andrei Vasilevsky, the 2019 Tampa Bay Lightning won 62 regular season games and finished the year with 128 points, losing just 16 games all year, a record almost as dominant as Boston's. Expectations were high, and immediately dashed. The Columbus Blue Jackets, 47-31-4, 98 points, swept the Lightning in the first round, thanks in large part to goaltender Sergei Bobrovsky, who saved 109 of 117 shots on goal. Will Boston meet a similar fate? The Bruins bring more depth, more scoring, and more experience to their first-round pick than their opponent, the Florida Panthers. Even in goal, it's hard to bet against the Linus Ullmark-Jeremy Swayman combo, first and fourth in the league in save percentage. After finishing the season with a 7-2-1 record in goal for the Panthers, Alex Lyon can start in the postseason. But technically, it's a Florida backup. Instead, the Panthers could go for their first line in hopes that he could repeat history. Any result before Boston clinch the cup, let alone a first-round exit, seems unlikely, but as Bobrovsky knows, the playoffs are full of surprises. There's not much more to be said about Connor McDavid that hasn't already been written about this season, one of the most impressive by an NHL player in recent memory. But from McDavid down, the Oilers pose a real threat in the West, even to the defending Stanley Cup champion Colorado Avalanche, who will be without captain Gabriel Landeskog after the season. On the one hand, the Oilers can score and a lot. Edmonton ranked first in total regular season goals with 325, a third of which went to McDavid and Leon Draisaitl. But as much as Edmonton relies on the likes of McDavid and Draisaitl, along with Ryan Nugent-Hopkins and Zach Hyman, to keep the goals down, they haven't been easy to beat either, especially lately with Stuart Skinner in net. Skinner has only missed one game in regulation since early March, giving up 6 on March 11 against Toronto. Is it finally time for the Leafs to exorcise their demons? They may finally overtake the two teams that suffered the most in the playoffs last time out, and they can do it. This in consecutive series? Toronto will face the Lightning again in the first round, having been eliminated in 7 games against Tampa Bay in last year's postseason. If they won, the Leafs would likely face Boston, the team that knocked them out of the playoffs in 2018 and 2019. Nowhere is there more pressure to win in the first round. Success, even partial, could mean the Leafs keep their main guys on and off the ice. Failure, especially in the first round, will likely mean new management, possibly a new manager, and possibly the eventual departure of Toronto's biggest star, Austin Matthews, who will get his first chance to re-sign with the team on July 1. But without the playoff success in Toronto, would he want to? The Leafs are underperforming in the postseason by most metrics. If they can be disciplined and take more penalties than they allow, they can use their power play for second place. They also hope not to go into overtime, where they lose too often. However, the return of Ryan O'Reilly from injury could help them find the playoff strength they've been lacking in recent years, as well as last season's other signings like Luke Schenn and Jake McCabe. It's a safe bet the Leafs will fold soon. But in Leafs Nation, hope is eternal. It's been just over a decade since the Rangers and Devils met in the postseason in 2012, when they were battling for Eastern Conference supremacy. The Devils claimed it, but lost to the then-mighty LA Kings in the Cup Finals. The Devils had a successful year, scoring 289 goals, good enough for 4th overall in the league. And while the Devils haven't been able to keep pace with the Bruins in total wins, they've shown they can beat just about anyone, adding 52 for the year, tying Carolina for 2nd overall. But there are weaknesses on the New Jersey side, including the power play. However, what may have hurt them the most was not being tested in the postseason. The Rangers, on the other hand, went deep last season, learning to win hard, taking Pittsburgh and Carolina to 7 games before falling to Tampa Bay in 6. And while the Devils will go for playoff rookie Vitek Vanecek, the Rangers will look to Igor Shesterkin, backed by Yaroslav Halak, both with plenty of postseason experience. Still, the output is difficult to predict. The spring trade deadline sparked an arms race in the conference. While the Rangers acquired Patrick Kane and Vladimir Tarasenko, the Devils countered by acquiring Tim Meyer. But the general frenzy also means other teams have come to the fore as well. Should the Rangers or Devils advance, they will likely face the fearsome Carolina Hurricanes, whose relatively early exit last year will give them something to prove. It's been 16 years since the Pittsburgh Penguins missed the playoffs. Sidney Crosby's rookie season, the 10th longest streak of consecutive playoff appearances in NHL history. The Bruins made the postseason 29 consecutive years between 1967-68 and 1995-96. It was a good streak and included 3 Stanley Cup wins in 4 finals. By Friday, the Pens had cleaned house in the executive suite, firing President of Hockey Operations Brian Burke, General Manager Ron Hextall, and his assistant Chris Pryor. The coaching staff is still in place for now. Sidney Crosby, Evgeny Malkin, and Chris Letang are there too, the trio at the heart of Pittsburgh's success. With some key changes, the Penguins could be back next year. Meanwhile, the Seattle Kraken clinched a playoff berth in only their 2nd season in the NHL, a huge turnaround from their inaugural campaign, in which they finished 2nd to last in the West. Goalkeeper stability was helped when Martin Jones arrived from Philadelphia to play 48 games and split the season with Philip Grubauer. The duo still allowed a lot of goals, 256, but luckily the Kraken managed to generate more, 289, including 24 from forward Matty Beniers, who shone in his first full season in the NHL, and 40 from Jared McCann in a rookie year for the 8-year NHL veteran. There are still questions about the Kraken's ability to advance as well as their penalties and power play, but no one cares if hockey has found a successful home in Seattle. The Bruins look like the safest bet going forward, at least the Islanders last time out, and likely Tampa or Toronto. The Rangers and Hurricanes will likely meet in the division finals, and New York, with their regular season series advantage, combined with playoff experience, could win that match, just like when the two met last postseason. But neither, if tested, is likely to match Boston. A matchup between the Avalanche and Stars looks likely, with Colorado likely having the hardest road ahead against Minnesota. While LA gave Edmonton a run for its money last year, the Oilers look stronger this time around, especially in goal. Expect them to meet the Golden Knights en route to the Western Finals against Dallas, which the Oilers can win even if it takes 7 full games. The Oilers and Bruins haven't met in the Stanley Cup Finals since 1990. There aren't many parallels the hockey gods can draw between this year and this one. Instead, we can look to more recent history. From February 1st to the end of the season, Boston lost only 5 games and only won against a team currently in the postseason. That team, the Oilers. Let's say Edmonton beats Boston by 7. Why not? Great to have you here. I'm so happy you're here and would love to hear your thoughts in the comments as we grow our knowledge of Boston together through this channel. Sharing knowledge is essential, so I would be very grateful if you could subscribe to our channel, which will allow us to reach even more fans. With your help, I feel motivated to post videos daily and keep them updated. By subscribing, you will be notified whenever a new video is posted. Many thanks for your support.